Hello, dear friend. Welcome to today's reflection. This is one of those conversations that might stir something quiet but deep on the inside. Because today's reflection, it asks something bold, something brave, something that takes a lot of courage. And the question we're reflecting on today is, how do you define a real friend? And how often do your current relationships meet that definition, that criteria that you have of a real friend? Now this is about more than labels. This is about integrity, where your inner values align with how you show up and who you allow in. And it's also about intimacy as well too. Intimacy in allowing yourself to be truly seen, not just tolerated or entertained. So, as we begin, let's begin with honesty, like we do, with gentleness, and also, more importantly, let's begin without shame. Start by asking yourself, what words come to your mind when you hear the phrase, a real friend? I'm not talking here about acquaintances. I'm not talking about who comments on your stories online, but a real friend. Words like trustworthy, or consistent, or curious, emotionally safe even might come up. Now, as you're thinking of those words, ask yourself, how did I learn what friendship was supposed to look like? Did you learn to settle for whoever stuck around? Did you perhaps become the helper so that you'd never be left behind? Did you maybe associate friendship with entertainment, but not necessarily depth? And finally, what emotions come up when you think about your current friendships? Do you feel a sense of gratitude, disappointment, confusion perhaps, or maybe you've just numbed it all out? Now, as you're thinking about all these responses, let all those feelings be welcome, because right now we're just listening. We're just listening to what our body's saying. And here's the question at the heart of today's reflection, and that is, what makes someone a real friend to you? Now, what you not while you were taught per se, but what you value now. Not what you were told to want, but what currently fits and feels good. Do real friends follow up with you when you go quiet, for example? Do they hold your messy truths with tenderness? Do they challenge you to stay aligned with yourself and the values that you hold? And most importantly, what does it feel like when in your body you're with someone who is safe and authentic? Perhaps in some sense you feel your shoulders drop a little. Maybe your breath is able to deepen a bit more. Maybe you stop second guessing your words because you feel safe. See, that's intimacy. That's presence. That's the feeling of being met, not necessarily managed. Now let's take a gentle inventory of sorts. Which of your current relationships reflect your definition of what a real friend looks like? Are there any that feel more habitual rather than heartfelt? Are you showing up as the version of yourself you think that they want instead of the one that you truly are? See, this is where integrity invites us to realign. You're not here to maintain friendships that cost you your truth. And you're not here to perform belonging. My dear listener, you're here to be known and to know others as well, in a way that honors both souls. So, where are the gaps that you're noticing? Are there friendships where you're longing to go deeper? Where you've been overextending, that is, like keeping connection alive that no longer feeds your heart, how has that been showing up? And where you've been hoping that someone will suddenly see you more clearly, but they don't, because they don't have the capacity, are you staying in that setting? You don't have to burn bridges to grow, but you do have permission to build elsewhere, where there's room for your full self to show up. And what would it look like, my dear friend, to create space for the kind of friendship that you now desire? Maybe it's initiating new connections from a place of truth, or maybe it's letting something slowly fade so your heart can find rest. Maybe it's naming what you need in an existing relationship and seeing if it can rise to meet you. If you're unsure how to begin, try one of these. Consider writing a letter to an ideal future friend. What would you thank them for? Or what would you say you've always needed? Or you could name 3 traits that you used to think were necessary in friendship and 3 that matter most to you now. And that would be kind of fun to contrast those, wouldn't it? Or visualize the friendship your younger self always wanted. And what does that look like? What was the tone of that relationship? What was the energy you felt in it? My dear listener, let these visions guide you, not as fantasies, but as a compass that's pointing you for the life you're wanting to build now. Let's take one last breath just to ground ourselves, shall we? Let yourself feel the courage it takes to reflect like this. Ask yourself, if you would, what did I learn about how I relate to friendship? And what am I ready to redefine, invite, or release? And most tenderly, most gently, what is one small act that I could take this week to move toward more aligned connection? Maybe that's reaching out to someone who does feel like a true friend and telling them why it feels so. Gently reflecting on a friendship that may need distance, not as a failure, but as a clearing, is another way you could conceptualize this progression. Excuse me. Or simply writing down your new definition of what a real friend looks like and holding it close like a love letter to yourself. Because here's what I want you to remember. You're not asking for too much. You're simply remembering what it means to be met, to be seen, and to be chosen. You don't need to be liked by everyone. You need to be known by a few deeply. And that kind of friendship, it begins with you choosing truth over performance, integrity over your image, and intimacy over armor. Thank you, my dear listener, for being here. Thank you for doing this brave work. And thank you again for believing that you deserve to be met.